When Maneater works as it should, it is a glorious mess. When Maneater doesn't work as it should, it's still a mess. It's just not glorious in any way. But it is a pretty bloody good laugh, because you're a big shark eating people. There are few things as funny as that. You're not just eating people, of course, though you do a lot of eating people. You eat a lot of other fish, you eat a lot of turtles, you eat some seals, you eat other sharks, you eat a lot. The game's predominantly about eating. And some of you have already rushed to the comment section to say, no wonder you like it, Jim. Fuck off. The conceit for Maneater is cute. In-universe, Maneater is the name of one of those reality TV shows that try to pretend they're educational, when really they're just an excuse to point at weird people and weird things, and then laugh when those weird things hurt the weird people. So Maneater is a reality TV show about shark hunters, predominantly a shark hunter called Scaly Pete, who serves as your nemesis throughout the game. And to really sell this idea of a reality TV show / pretentious wannabe documentary probably aired on TLC or something, the whole thing is narrated by Chris Parnell, who, in universe, is the voice of the show. Chris Parnell, for those who don't know, is a voice actor, comedian. He's on Archer and Rick and Morty as Jerry. And in Maneater, he is commenting on pretty much everything that happens at any time. If you eat fish, he may chime in to talk about the eating habits of a bull shark. You're a bull shark in this game. You can't choose your own shark. Now that's bullshit. I want to be a hammerhead shark. Everybody does. Unfortunately, the game doesn't have all that much in the way of customization. The shark does change. Obviously, it starts small and it grows. You go from teenager to adult, beyond. And the various upgrades you can unlock and equip will have cosmetic alterations on the shark. If you get, for example, the bioelectric upgrades, then the various upgradable features, the teeth, the head, the fins, the body, the tail, they will take on the appearance of something bioelectric-y. A lot of blue, basically. But there are various ways you can customize the shark from a gameplay perspective. The bioelectric set, like I said, gives you various electric capabilities that will stun enemies. There's the shadow set, which is all about poisoning opponents and weakening them, and the bone set, which is more defensive and really does make the shark look like it's covered in bones, which is pretty cool. But the gameplay, how does it play? Well, the basic controls work. If you're underwater, you can steer the shark about just fine with the left stick. There's a button for dodging, there's a button for a tail whip, there's a button to crunch with the mouth, But certainly if you are playing on a controller, there are issues, because there's no lock-on targeting, which I feel should be a must, at least for the underwater combat. There is sort of an automatic lock-on when you're very close to an opponent or prey. And it's about as reliable as a statement from Dominic Cummings. Nailed him! Things can move in and out of that little unreliable auto lock-on quite easily. Even if you are locked onto something with it, you can just dash past them by accident when you're supposed to lunge at them for a bite. And that's just dealing with the stuff that doesn't fight back. Fighting aggressive fish underwater, other sharks or barracudas and things like that, is at times nightmarish. It's not helped by the fact that a lot of enemy fish have lunges of their own, so they can lunge right past you and end up like 10 feet away from you. And some of those lunges make the opponents vulnerable, so you can grab onto them and bite them and thrash about in the water with them. And that'd be cool if the attacks that make your enemies vulnerable actually kept them within range of you. In place of any form of reliable, persistent lock-on is a focus command. You can push in the right stick if you're on a controller, and the camera will swing and face the nearest enemy. And that's all it does. And enemies move around a fucking lot. Eventually I realised the easiest thing to do, especially with opponents that have large health bars, is to just keep pushing the left stick towards them and then mashing the right stick button and the attack command just over and over and over again. You don't get to do the cool things as much, and you can do some pretty cool things. You can like bite a fish and then swim up to the surface, jump in the air, spit the fish out and whack it with your tail and send it flying. It's actually quite fun to bite fish and then send them flying with your tail. But trying to do that consistently and reliably can be incredibly frustrating. However, this is one of those games that can still be very entertaining and very amusing in spite of how messy it is, and sometimes because of that. Because at the end of the day, this is a game where you can jump up onto the beach or any form of land and then flop about with fish physics while smashing the bite button to go from screaming human to screaming human, gobbling them the fuck up. Ultimately, it's never not fun. It's never not fun to, for example, swim about in the water with your fin sticking out of it until people notice it, and then they start screaming and panicking about a shark, and then you jump out of the water, and then you point your shark at someone on the deck of the boat, and then you careen towards them and you go, oh, and then you thrash about in the water with them, and then the shark will do one of its fun animations, toss them up in the air, and then crunch, crunch, crunch. All gone now, full up tummy, thanks. And then, because I do a lot of internal role-playing as I do this game, I leave one person alive on the boat to tell of what happened. It is very, very funny to flop about on the beach and eat people. It's very funny to grab swimmers. It's very funny to jump in the air and snatch someone off of a flamingo boat. It's both incredibly entertaining and also frustrating, for similar reasons mentioned earlier, to fight human hunters on the surface of the water, jumping up, grabbing people off of the boats, attacking the boats themselves. Just straight up tail whipping boats over and over again, I found, is very effective. You can snatch up hunters and then launch them at other hunters or launch them at boats to deal damage, using a dodge mechanic to just splash about and barrel roll all over the surface of the water. And of course, you'll need to eat as much surrounding fauna as possible while the hunters pelt you with bullets and bombs and things. And if you keep doing that, the hunters will escalate their assault until one of several boss hunters appears. And if you manage to fuck their worlds up, you can unlock some new upgrades for yourself. It's very entertaining so long as you don't try too hard to be too specific. If you just indulge in the chaos of it all, just let the sloppiness of the combat wash over you and just tell yourself, I'm just gonna splash about, hit things, bite things. If I manage to grab hold of a hunter, maybe I'll use them as a human baseball. But just be aware that that auto-targeting system will often take you to some strange places. It may send you flying a mile away from the boat you were trying to bite. It may try to target opponents that aren't actually attackable, like ones inside boats that need to be destroyed, and you're trying to grab a hunter that's actually on the deck, but the auto-targeting system decided that you wanted the hunter that you literally physically can't get. When you care too much about the game, it can be really irritating. If you stop giving too much of a shit, it's brilliant fun. Any frustration I felt throughout the game was offset by those moments where your shark, for example, like grabs an alligator and then spins around in the water with it like an alligator would to a zebra, and then just swallows the whole fucking thing. Or when the shark is eating its way up another shark. Between all the combat, there's a lot of repetitive tasks that, they're fine. It's not a massive game, and it's not a particularly lengthy one. The world is split up into several maps, and on those maps there's a lot of, well, it's open world busy work. But because the areas are fairly small and the busy work is very easy to find, all of the collectibles and stuff can be pinged with a sonar which you can upgrade to become really quite powerful. So it's quite a chill experience just swimming about, finding nutrient caches, eating license plates, or finding landmarks. There are a lot of go to this place and kill 10 of these type missions, specially flagged enemies to hunt, and each zone has its own apex predator that comes out for an underwater boss fight once you've lowered the population, basically once you've drained their feeding grounds. It can be very repetitive. There are a lot of Chris Parnell sound bites that they've recorded to keep that entertaining for a while, but eventually you will start hearing the same stuff. And if you do want to complete each area, then you will spend spend a lot of time just eating dozens and dozens of boxes strewn about the game world. But again, each area is fairly small and all of the objectives are easy to find and ping on the map, so I don't mind it so much as I do in some other open world games full of nebulous busy work. It all depends on how convenient you make it to do that work, I guess, and it's fairly convenient and relaxing to do it in Maneater. The whole game overall reminds me of something like Under the Skin, or more pertinently, Destroy All Humans. One of those games that drop you into the world as an alien, creature, or an animal, something non-human, and then gives you an opportunity to just screw with every single human you see. And very much like Destroy All Humans, despite the gory, dark, disturbing subject matter, it's oddly good-natured. Yes, you are massacring people. Yes, you're turning the water blood red with blood from people that you got out of their bodies. But it's so over the top, so silly, so cartoonish, so slapstick. It makes the hungry slaughter of thousands of beachgoers feel almost wholesome. Yeah, I guess that's a box quote. Obviously, it's not the most visually lavish game, but it doesn't have to be. It's cartoony and bright, and the shark just looks really good. It's animated really well. The kill animations especially are fun. The way it flops about when it's on land is a good giggle. Yes, trying to control the shark at times makes me physically shudder. But when everything works and feels good, it's incredibly worth it. And the feeling of starting out life as a baby shark and becoming the terror of the deep is a power fantasy at its most direct. And while it's not a particularly lengthy, deep, rich RPG experience, there's just enough to unlock and upgrade, there's just enough to tinker and play with to keep one occupied for the duration. If the idea of being a massive, stupid shark mess is good to you, then I think you'll have a really good time with this. I realise stupid shark mess to some of you doesn't sound appealing, but to some of you it sounds amazing, and for you, this game has been made.
Baby shark, baby shark, baby shark.